This is the Lyndsay Stafford Show.
Welcome back to the Lyndsay Stafford Show, powered by Stafford Solutions, your business growth, operations, and branding partner. I am Lyndsay. I'm here today with my guest and friend of about 4 years, Dane Daniels. Sounds like a country music star or a newscast broadcaster, right?
I'm neither. So.
Dane Daniels. Such a great name to say. Excited to share. He's got a great story, and we're going to talk through. He balances a job working for a great local company and also running his own business. And he is a father of three. The youngest is 1, right?
Yeah, one tomorrow.
1, 3.
Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow's our birthday.
1, 3, and 7 or
That's
6.
right, yeah.
Okay, 1, 3, and 7, and been married for 10 years.
Yeah, it'll be 10 years in September.
Huge.
So,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
10 is such a milestone.
It's a big one.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
Dane, I'm so excited to have you here. Let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit about what you do, because right now you wear 2 different hats. You're the partner and lead designer at Music City Light Company, and they do some other stuff too, and the enterprise account executive at Southwestern Communications.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your professional journey and how you're balancing up both of those.
Oh gosh. So I'll start with SWC, Southwestern Communications. SWC is kind of the
Acronym
name that
for
we
it,
give
yeah.
everybody else,
Yeah.
right? And so SWC is a national brand. They bought a company called ACT, which anyone local to Nashville who has any home security things, they will recognize that name. That's been around forever in Nashville. So SWC bought them. Basically what they specialize in is security solutions for commercial. So whether it's a school, a hospital, a data center, a government building, whatever it might be, SWC is considered the foremost expert, especially in the Southeast, with guiding people on how to protect their assets. So anything with security cameras, access control. And what access control is, for those who don't know, it's key fobs and remote access and all those things. Anything from fire alarm pulls to low voltage, all that stuff. So I'm the business development person for Middle Tennessee for the commercial side.
Great.
So anything non-education, non-healthcare, that is my side. So if it's a multifamily or a government building, data center, you name it, anything like that, I work with GCs, architects, developers, business owners, really either at the design level, the bid level, which kind of wherever their need is. Obviously, the preference is at the design level, because then we can actually guide them from the plans and show them how, hey, look, you don't need 30 cameras. You actually need about 14 strategically placed. So that's kind of where I come into play. So that's I'm the business development guy. I told Lyndsay the other day, my conversations I have with people is just a solutions-based one for anything that they need, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're a referral person.
Yeah.
I'm a referral person. I like to be the guy that people just call. Hey, do you know a guy that does this? Do you know a guy that does that? And specific to the commercial space, with SWC, I've met so many people in different trades in the commercial space. So I have a guy for everything.
Yeah.
Now. So like, that's, how it goes. It's an inroad for opportunities, because people call you because they want to know who you trust. So that's kind of where I found my little niche.
I love that. And and once you develop the reputation that who you trust is also trustworthy.
Sure. Right.
People are asking you for referrals all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally how my magazines came to be. I was being asked for referrals all the time. I was like, okay, we just need to make this official,
That's
right?
right. Yep.
So now talk a little bit about Music City Light Company.
Yeah. So Music City Light Co. Was really birthed a few years ago. It had a different name a couple years ago, but we at one point owned a bounce house business. And we've since sold that. But prior to the bounce house business or of selling it, we actually had some employees that we wanted to keep full time. We wanted to keep them around and have work for them to do year round. And so Christmas lights actually popped up as a end of the year type thing that we could do once the bounce house season stopped. And so that was really where it was all birthed. What it has built up to today is really a all-inclusive service for kind of anything lighting. We have a couple of electricians we work with that can really do anything. We just sub them out. So from a lighting standpoint for your house, residential only, we focus heavily on that. But what has been birthed out of this, now that we just own the Christmas light side of things, my business partner and I, Curtis Smith, he'll probably be on here at some point too.
Yeah,
So
love to get
we'll
him
be
back
hanging
here,
out
yeah.
too. So Curtis had an idea of having some recurring services for residential. And he had a couple of things that he had experience with years ago where he was doing car detailing and a few other things. And he had really had a book of business that he kind of has kept up with ever since, even since he sold that portion. And he was like, man, I've just got some really good friends. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't call them clients.
No,
I've got
they're
some good
just-
friends. And same with our Christmas lights clients, they're friends. And so I was like, man, we should combine our friends with our friends
Yeah.
and help each other and build something cool. And when we started, once we did a bunch of Christmas lights this season, we were like, hey, we reached out to our friends and we said, hey, is this something that you might be interested in? And essentially what we thought of was, okay, there's a long list of, we call it the honey-do list typically, that every either husband or wife, whoever wants to pick from that list has to do at their house every year. And whether it's cleaning out your gutters, cleaning out your trash cans outside that no one ever thinks to do, that's disgusting, power washing your driveway,
Yep.
Changing out your air filters and for your HVAC, your batteries and your smoke detectors, all those things that, quite frankly, people don't even want to track, but they have to do them. And then when it's piled up, they realize they have to do them. And we reached out to some of our friends and we were like, hey, would this be something you'd be interested in if all you had to do is pay an annual fee every year? And you could forget about it. That was all it did. It's just
all
a
done for
recurring
you.
service, and it's all done for you. You pick 4 of the services that we have. We have a list of about 15, and are these of interest? And originally we started with Curtis and I were like, all right, let's just do 4 services. What we realized was that didn't speak to everyone.
Yeah.
Some people don't have heavy duty gutters that they have cleaned out.
Sure.
Some people don't care about their trash cans. And so we were like, all right, like we want to be able to serve everyone. So what are some things we kind of polled out to some friends? What are some things you hate doing that you have to do every year or once a quarter, every couple, twice a year, whatever it might be. And we built that list of about 15 services. And all of them are super low key. There's no heavy duty electrical work or, certifications or anything like that. And so we realized like there is a model here. So that's kind of what we built out. We've got about 15 clients that are set up for that now, that we'll be serving this season. And our hope is to get a lot more. So
it's in the initial launch phase right now, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And you've bought and sold businesses, so you know how to do this. So funny to think back because when we first met, I think we said it's like almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
You were in the bouncy house business.
Yeah.
And the other common thread, which we won't go too far into today, but work against human trafficking, because you were very involved in.
I was for a
Operation.
season of life. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
Operation
the
Lightshine.
former COO of Operation Lightshine.
And
So,
we featured your Operation Lightshine in the magazines.
Yeah,
but
very
I
grateful.
also, back when I was in pageant days,
mm-hmm.
that was my platform, was human trafficking awareness.
Yeah,
and I think
that's right.
I shared that with you
That's
before.
right. Yeah, I remember that.
Actually, that's the only reason I started doing pageants, because I don't care to do them at all.
Sure.
I did it to bring awareness to human trafficking.
Yeah.
And that was back, this was like 2017 maybe. So it just wasn't as talked about as it is now.
Right. It's very popular now from the human trafficking side of things. Yeah. For sure.
It's the awareness. People are becoming more aware of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about you as a partner in creative business. What's been some of the biggest lessons you've learned about entrepreneurship, ownership, and building something from the ground up?
Yeah. I think, for me personally, I think I like to start with failure.
I love that.
I think there's a lot of things that have to come into place as an entrepreneur. I think one of the major ones that I learned the hard way was accountability. You can go out on your own journey and kind of carve your own path and have all these very high expectations for yourself. But if you don't have layers of accountability that can see into it and can see what's going on and can look at the books and see how you're managing, you can only drive yourself so hard without accountability. I think it's extremely important. I learned the hard way and was fortunate to have very good friends that loved me and were encouraging through the failures. So I think if I could tell anyone any layer of advice from entrepreneurship, accountability is vital. And then being on the same page with your spouse. You have to be. Who you marry matters. It's big time, especially if you have that entrepreneur spirit, which quite frankly, I didn't know I had until later on in marriage and life. And so my wife and I weren't really on the same page for a while, and it's only over the last couple of years that we've been on the same page. That we've been rowing the boat together instead of Dane doing Dane things and running around doing what he thinks is best, as opposed to what you both think is best, because it's your partner, it's your spouse. She or he are directly affected by everything that you do.
Yeah.
So, accountability and being aligned with your spouse and who you're doing life with, it's really, really important. So, ground up stuff. I'm an idea guy, so that stuff's fun. That's the easy part. Launching something, cultivating something. I think we were put on this earth to cultivate. So I love the idea of it. Execution is where it's not necessarily my strong point, right? Where I can think of the idea, I can draw people in to want the idea, but then you actually have to execute and put it in place. And so that's why, like, I have, my business partner and other people and all these other hands involved, where I know I'm not that guy. So I don't try to be. I tried to be at one point, failed. And so I don't pretend to be that anymore. The ideas are fun. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
The cultivating and building it is fun. It's the consistency of making sure that it matches how you've brought people in to believe what it is, right? Because I can convince most people. I'm a very convincing person. But if I've convinced them and then they find out that it's not what I've said it is, right? It's not the type of service level that I've told them to expect. So we have to have accountability to make sure that's happening.
Yeah, there's so many things I want to pull out of what you said. We had lunch with Dave, my business partner, and my husband, and you, and I think we shared so much of the same sentiment about building something together. And, people ask, how is it working with your husband? It's like, it's great. Like, it's the best thing ever. You have your best friend and partner in everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always that way either with being on the same page, right? I think when you get someone like us, like type A entrepreneurial spirit, you can kind of just like ready, fire, aim and run things over. And I had boss way back in the day who I've brought up on this show before, Kim Kiefer, said, Lynn, sometimes you can move so fast, you just leave everybody behind you. Like, you got to slow down. That's right. And so as I've aged, of course, I've learned to slow down and make sure people are with me. And so I want to bring up that too, because I think when you are in a business, it can be heavily discounted how much weight it takes, how much weight is put on your spouse, and how much better it becomes when you are aligned with your vision. And we kind of shared this the other day, that like, you go through really tough, challenging times together and you come out so much stronger and so much more aligned. And I'm grateful for that. You've been married 10 years. We're going to be at 20 years in May, which is crazy. We were babies when we got married. I was 23. No idea what I was doing. Still I'm figuring it out, but I know we're good. So that's good. Yeah. But I also want to bring up, you talked about being a visionary. And I think in every business, there is that visionary, there's the operator, and there's the executor, or there needs to be. And oftentimes when we're starting out, we play all three roles. Right. But it's not ideal, and you can't sustain that. Right. You have to figure out how to have an operator and an executor. And it's typically not the CEO that's going to be the one that's the operator or the executor, because they're visionary. And I've been telling you, we're in this place, we've been like kind of streamlining and updating some roles and responsibilities. And like a lot of that, the vision of it is me. And so I've had to execute it, and I hate it. I can
outside
do
of our
it.
Comfort zone.
Right. Like I am capable of doing it, but it is not what I love. And it is very draining for me versus the visionary and the strategic planning that is exciting and
100%.
and engaging. So
when I think, to your point, one of the things that I was told a couple of years ago about being plugged into places that you don't belong, I've always been told, even at a young age, I was a leader of men. You've probably been told you're a leader of women, right? Yeah. And typically those opportunities come in operational roles. Yeah. So people plug you into those because you can lead, right? And it's operational. What they don't realize is that a lot of those leaders of men or leaders of women, they're not supposed to be operators. Right. They're actually supposed to cast vision and let the operators run. Exactly. And so I it took me a long time to figure that out because I felt like, why do I feel uncomfortable in operation roles?
Yes.
Like, why do I hate this? I'm good at it. I can do it. But I hate it. And so so I totally understand.
It's so true. And it's so funny because back when I was, in corporate, I was a multi-unit leader. You have to know operations and you have to be able to execute it.
Yep.
And so I could do it all, but it was always like my least favorite thing to do. And it's funny because now one of the things we do as a company is we help companies with operations and we're really good at it.
Yeah.
And we're good at it because I know what right looks like.
That's right. You get to cast the vision of what it can look like because you have an engineer mind of how to build it, but then it's execuing of building it. Right?
And then we have our awesome team that goes and executes the vision of what right looks like.
Totally.
So funny how aligned we are on that. Okay. So I want to shift gears just a little bit. Talk about Nashville has growing super fast right now. How has that growth impacted your design work, the enterprise level sales work as well?
Well, from the commercial side, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, right. You're like, bring them on.
It is nonstop. So, I mean, technically Tennessee is an entire territory for me, but I haven't had to leave Nashville. I mean, there's so much business here. And quite frankly, this is where all my connections and contacts are, being a native to Nashville, but like a fourth gen, my great grandparents or whatever. So there's a lot of people around that. I was just at a contractor that owned a very large contracting firm. It was a fellow MBA grad, and that's where I graduated high school. Oh, that's right. And so we got to talking. He lived on the same street as an old friend of mine, and it's just those connections are. Nashville is growing, but it's still small. Yeah, like there's still a lot of the same folks that have been here a long time, and people learn that really quickly. Yeah. But the growth on the commercial side is great, and then obviously the residential side is great too. Same, I mean, our client base who we work with, it's typically in that home price range between, $800K to a couple million and above, right? Yeah. So that's who we typically serve. And those are the homes that are being built. So it's like those are the homes that are around, and Williamson County's expansion, into College Grove and all those things. It's very opportunistic. I will say, like, my wife and I had a good conversation about this the other day. Our oldest goes to a homeschool co-op, and so we meet a lot of families. And I bet. I would venture to say 60 to 70% are California or West Coast that have come here. And people are like, we don't want West Coast people here and all this stuff and everything. And I'm like, everybody I've met has been awesome. Like they've been refugees leaving what they don't like to come here for why it's good. And so I'm all for it. I get that it can be difficult, to accept new culture into our Southern, culture. Sure. So I understand that part. But we've met some just wonderful people. So it and all my local native friends and Nashvilleian friends, they all feel kind of the same. We're all still really close, but there's been more friend groups kind of created out of that.
Yeah, so. I've always been in the camp of the more the merrier. I mean, I think I understand people that are afraid of growth or don't want growth. Yeah. I think a lot of the natives, I think in College Grove where we are, right? So it was all farmland. Yeah. I sat down and interviewed a local, this was probably 4 years ago. And he was like, "Oh, you live here? That was so-and-so's farm, and so-and-so was on that street." I
love talking to those people that know all the farmer names.
Yeah,
from
this
all
is
back
Jerry,
in
the plumber. Plumber or electrician. Gosh, it's been so long. Maybe it is both. Yeah. Anyways, that's the folks that grew up with that don't like what it's changing to be, and I understand it.
I understand it. I think I have a different point of view. I'm younger. My career is in its middle point of so I look at it as opportunistic. Yeah. So I mean I could understand if you're beyond that as an older person, you're either retired or semi-retired. It's not opportunistic for you. So you're kind of like, we're running out of room. Like, that we're losing the charm that we once had. So I get both sides.
I do too, but I think we have to, from a strategic standpoint, the growth is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Because it's giving us opportunities. Yeah, opportunities. I love it. Yeah. Okay. So looking ahead, what excites you most about this year? When you think about 2026 And we just started, right? The time of this podcast recording is the beginning. It's January 2026.
Yeah.
I know we'll hear it in a few weeks, but think about what is this year going to bring for you? And do you have a word? This is not on the questionnaire, so I apologize for throwing it out there.
Okay.
So you know how people come up with like my word of the year?
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you mine while you think, or you got it?
Yeah, you tell me yours. And,
okay.
'cause I think I've got one.
So I have two, and it is contentment and discipline. And so it's about growth, but really contentment, I think that we've become so, that like Snapchat mindset of like, it needs to be here immediately, the instant gratification. And like, we can dream something up and have it at our door the next day or 4 hours later if we pay $2.99. And I just think there's this space of like, just being content with what you have. And an example, my sister and I are on this journey together this year, actually, which is kind of cool. And it's like, do we really need that? Is that something we really just want, or do we actually need that? So things like not buying clothes unless it's actually replacing something, and not just, and as a former retail girl, I love fashion and clothes. And so having some control with, the consumerism that,
of course,
right? So more than just that, but that's one example of like being content, just like being grateful for what we have, right? And I started doing 15 minutes of really intentional prayer in the morning after my Bible study, and 3 minutes of that is just gratitude, just straight gratitude for the things that we might look past because we're moving so fast. And then discipline, I think, goes without saying. It's just being really disciplined with all of the goals and the strategy behind it and the behaviors that get there. So
absolutely.
All right. What's your word?
Yeah. So one that comes to mind is steadfast. I think with my type personality, and we're very similar. So I say our personality, my type personality, I can definitely be distracted. I can definitely be, pulled and pushed and prodded in different directions of like, oh, maybe there's an opportunity. It's kind of like you almost like, I hate to say chasing a dollar, but when you're an entrepreneur and that's been your mindset for years of like every opportunity to build revenue and grow revenue, like you kind of, it wires you a certain way, right, wrong, or indifferent, right? But for me, the steadfastness in my commitments of what God has given me, because the Lord has provided greatly for us, and has given us a very clear path of what we should be doing, and specifically me. And so I want to be very steadfast in that. We're seeing some incredible fruit because I started with SWC last year at the beginning of the year, and seeing some incredible fruit of a lot of the work I did last year coming to fruition. Because in business development sales, you know how it goes. It can be long sales cycles and very relationally based, and you don't know what's going to come from this relationship you've been working on for 6 months, and then all of a sudden it pops up, and we're seeing that, and it's amazing. So like, I think being very steadfast in what the Lord has clearly put in our path, and even with Music City Light Co. and just the opportunities that we have for 2026, and with the new business partner with Curtis, and just a lot of great things the Lord has done. And so I want to be very focused, and steadfast really comes to mind more than anything.
Very similar to my word contentment.
Very much,
honestly.
it's
like
contentment.
Not
for sure.
looking at, because I think you and I are very similar, and I can be in a conversation. My daughter will call me out on this all the time, and I'm like, oh, you could turn that into a business. I can't even help myself. It's not that I want to do it all. It's just that I see opportunities everywhere. And I think what you're saying is like, and I've had the same experience, it's really easy to get distracted with like, oh, this is a great opportunity because you see it.
That's right.
But I think putting blinders on and saying, I'm just going to focus on what's in front of me and not let the other stuff be a distraction. I'm on that same wavelength of just being really content and being really good at what you're doing right now and focusing on that.
Absolutely.
So I love that. Dane, it's been a pleasure. I am grateful for our time together today. I got to have you back with Curtis. You guys can talk a little bit more about that. So we'll get you back maybe in the next quarter.
That sounds great.
Tell us where we can find you, both businesses.
So swc.net is the website. My email is just my first name last name swc.net, so you can do it that way. Dane.Daniels at swc.net. I try not to say my name in really strange ways, but
I'll do that for you.
Do that for me. That's great. And then socials, all that stuff. So, I mean, you can find Music City Light Co. It's the same across Facebook, Instagram,
Perfect.
all those things. But yeah, it's pretty easy to find. And we have a really good Google presence. So like our you can look us up for reviews. We have a perfect 5-star. I think we've got like 20 something reviews on there from this past season. So we're there.
Great.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. It was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Really good to see you this week.
Too.
Thanks for tuning in to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. If you found value in this episode, please like, share, review, rate, and comment, and definitely follow us or subscribe, Jim, right? Subscribe. Yeah. Subscribe if you haven't already. It helps us out a lot. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning into the Lyndsay Stafford Show, powered by Stafford Solutions.